Welcome to the Dr. Stacy Show, where we are talking all things faith, love, and wellness. I am your host, Dr. Stacy, and I am excited to be exploring this season. Each season, we try to tackle a theme. This season, we're going with being made well, talking about neurodivergent differences, physical differences, things that just make us different from one another, but make us amazing. And so we'll be speaking to professionals in different spaces that help children thrive just the way they are designed. And so, folks, I am super excited today because I have the pleasure of being with Tony Valhovic, who is a former professional athlete and experienced entrepreneur in the fields of sports, mental conditioning, and post-rehabilitation therapy. What's really awesome about Tony, he's taken his personal experience and turned it into a mission. He has worked as the chairman of the Special Olympics North America Baseball Development Committee. He also is the #1 selling author for his book, Just Need an Opportunity, focusing on disabilities in sports. But again, his background is amazing. He was a professional athlete, coach for over 30 years. And even again, looking at Special Olympics in North America, he got the Coach of the Year in 2014. I am super excited to learn and hear more about his BaseABLE, which is a nonprofit organization that supports and funds organizations wanting to offer baseball to individuals with different disabilities. So, Tony, again, you've done so many things in this space. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today.
Dr. Stacy, thank you for the opportunity to be on your show. I was looking forward to it.
Well, I know we first met actually at a March Madness event that actually had Coach Phil Martelli. We had Pastor Clarence Jones. And I was super fascinated because, first of all, you're handing out your book to everybody, which I love. But tell our audience a little bit about, let's first start with BaseABLE and tell us a little bit about your organization.
BaseABLE was started 5 years ago. And my co-founder, Gary Krapovka, and I were actually talking during a rain delay of a game I was coaching his oldest son. And he asked me what I was doing, and I told him that I was coaching athletes with disabilities. And I was basically carrying this program on my own because working with Special Olympics basically after the 2014 USA Games let baseball kind of step to the side. And I had a real connection with the athletes after working with them for 2.5 years, spent time with them, stayed with them during the USA Games that entire week. And we had a very strong bond from a father, brother, mentor position. And we developed something, and I saw how much they loved the game. I did not want to let that go. So for the next couple of years, I did things with my high school team, which I coach in New Hope, Pennsylvania, brought the athletes in to play with my athletes and have my current high school athletes do clinics for them, interact with the athletes with disabilities, which a lot of them have never done. So it was an opportunity on both sides for my high school athletes to give back to the community and the athletes with disabilities to be part of a different team. So from that point, Gary mentioned that he'd like to help me, and we started a nonprofit called BaseABLE. And BaseABLE is basically designed to take care of the needs of these athletes, men and women from age of 16 and up. I mean, my youngest is 16, my oldest is 64 now. So it's quite a range. And we supply them if they need equipment. We have traveled to Florida. We've traveled to Virginia. We've traveled to North and South Carolina. We've traveled to Pittsburgh. And we take care of all the expenses for the athletes, their hotel, their food, and their training. And there is an incredible bond that these athletes form within the state of New Jersey and Pennsylvania, but also in North and South Carolina. So it's an incredible program to watch these athletes give back. And what I've done in the past with our BaseABLE athletes is if they've been with me for a while, I let them give clinics to some younger athletes with disabilities. So they have the opportunity to teach and give back, which they love to do. And I love to just stand back and listen to them coach. They coach the coach. And I sit back and I consider myself a lifelong learner, and I just let them go. And it's an incredibly positive feeling and has changed my life in a dramatic way over the past 12 years now, going on 13.
Mhm. Well, it's when you say change your life, I remember that March Madness event when the parent came up and was saying how it changed their life, right? Their son being involved in this organization just really changed them. And the fact that they drove, I think it was like an hour and a half or something, just even to come to support you today was so touching to me. Talk to me a little bit about how do you get your athletes? Where do they come from? What type of disabilities? When we talk about disabilities, do some of your athletes have?
The athletes come from a variety of schools and programs throughout New Jersey and Pennsylvania, primarily from Special Olympics, but it doesn't have to be Special Olympics. They can be from the Challenger League. They can be from schools that are set up for individuals that have any type of disability. We don't turn anybody away, Dr. Stacy. We take in people, and we have a variety of individuals involved. And I guess on the spectrum of autism, and there's somewhere placing that it could be a learning disability, it could be speech, it could be hearing, it could be cognitive, lack of cognitive ability to learn certain situations. So it's a wide range. Down syndrome. We have, again, just a variety of individuals that have any type of intellectual disability. And I know that takes in a wide range. And to be quite honest with you, I don't even know what if they have a diagnosis from a physician. I never ask that. I get to know them as people. And that's how I learn about them. But I do ask them how they learn. So when I'm coaching them, I can understand or try to coach them from, is it kinesthetic? Do they need to use their hands? Is it visual? Is it auditory? So that's where coming from as a coach and mentor with these individuals. But as I mentioned, there is a wide range of people, and there's a wide range of activities and things that they do and placement. Some live with their parents, some live independently, some can drive. I have one athlete who is married. I have a second one. I'll be going to a wedding in October. And it's really great to see that they have found an individual who they love and care about, and they want that happiness just like you and I do, and want to be a part of a relationship. And we talk a lot about relationships also, outside of baseball, outside of the team, and the interactions that they have. So it's really a life learning program. BaseABLE is what it really comes down to. Baseball is the platform,
Right.
but we're really trying to demonstrate to people that these individuals are people also and have the same needs and feelings as everyone else.
Yeah. And I remember you shared that you went through your own journey with rehabilitation and healing.
Yes, yes. My professional baseball career was hit from behind by a drunk driver, and my left leg was destroyed. And it took me over a year and a half to learn how to walk again, including surgery. And while I was in the rehab process, and the rehab people were very nice, but I could stay there 2 hours, I could stay there 15 minutes. What I just went through the program they set up for me. And throughout that time, I was thinking to myself, since my baseball career was ended and I was retired at a tender age of 25 years old, that I needed to do something else. And I still wanted to work with people, that I would do things differently if I got involved in the rehabilitation business. And that's really how I got started. I took people on who had Lou Gehrig's disease, cancer, MS, you name it, whoever that, people would come to me and say, would you work with my son or daughter who has cerebral palsy? Absolutely. I'll try and do anything I can to help them. So I learned a lot about the intellectual part, the physical part, and the soul, and trying to put all those pieces together to help that person heal and get back to a life that they wanted.
I love how you said that soul piece, right? Because even we don't often think about what happens for the mental and the soul when we're going through physical rehab, even in that experience. And we hear about it with that recovery time and the mental gain that happens and thinking about when you get back to your sport or not. But you were saying, hey, I'd really like to help people in this space. And you turn that into a beautiful thing that's helping people. Talk a little bit about what does baseball mean for these folks? Like, how often are they participating? What does the season look like? I love that you said that they're traveling. What does that kind of look like, even as a baseball season?
Well, we have travel periods where we will play down in South Carolina in February, for instance, and the program is called Swing for Inclusion. And the group in South Carolina that's involved with South Carolina Special Olympics invites athletes who are not even in the program to come, and there's a free clinic. We put on an exhibition game, and the bonding that goes on between the athletes from different states is now they're friends. And there is a brother sisterhood that is developed with these athletes, that they connect with each other. They continue to communicate with each other. They really care about each other, and the hugs. And I tell people all the time, those weekends, I get hugged more than most people get hugged in a year.
Mm.
And it's just that's just the kind of people that they are. But to answer your question of what the athletes get from that is a real feeling of belonging to something bigger than them, being part of a team and being accepted. Also, the ability of creating more relationships out of their normal base, and kind of forces them to communicate more with other people, develop friendships, share their life experience. So, and it's amazing to watch them. And when we have dinners, and if you can imagine, Dr. Stacy, walk into a restaurant and say, "Can I have a table for 40 people, please?" And the host or hostess is like, their eyes almost pop out of their head. And we walk in, and they are the life of the restaurant. And they walk up to people. If it's somebody's birthday, they help sing happy birthday. They like being around people, and there's a community there. So they are receiving a lot of things in their life that they probably haven't had or haven't been exposed to, or really haven't been given an opportunity. And that's really what it is, an opportunity to be a part of something.
Yeah, and I love how you just said that opportunity piece, because many of these students, even when you think about 16 to 64, I heard that age, and I'm like, to say, I mean, they may have not had the opportunity. Again, I'm thinking of the 64-year-old who probably didn't have sports teams that they were able to join as we do now, right? It looked very different years ago. Talk a little bit about, because even your book is saying just need an opportunity. Talk to us about your book, the passion behind it, your heart behind it. Tell us more about your book.
Really, the book, what I realized when I wanted to write a book is, throughout my life, I've been around people with disabilities. The neighborhood I grew up in the northern part of Pennsylvania, there were a few kids in the neighborhood who were, quote unquote, in special ed at that time. And the other kids in the neighborhood, when we play games, if you were, you're playing something at the park or in somebody's backyard or in the street, never really included them because they were different. And some kids would pick on them. And I don't know where it came from, but it really bothered me. And I would be their protector. And throughout elementary and middle school, I got into a lot of fights to protect them, because people would just go up and bully them and say to them, "Look, you want to bully somebody? Come after me. You want to fight with somebody? Fight me." And these people with some type of disability, would kind of just, scatter and just leave the situation. And I realized that it was coming from someplace. Even when I was playing professionally, I always had a soft spot for fans that had some type of disability. A lot of my teammates would kind of walk right by them, or, it was because you spent some time with them. They wanted to talk to you. They wanted to touch your hand. They wanted to connect with you in some way. And it came natural, if that makes any sense. I didn't have to think about it. So when I had the opportunity to coach athletes with disabilities through Special Olympics, I really looked at my life and wanted to put something out there that would basically show that these people are real people. And if you ever had the opportunity to have a relationship with them or get to know them, it would change your life. And that's really, again, the book is really a platform to show and demonstrate to people that these people are no different than anyone else. They may talk, they may look a little different, whatever the situation is, they're still people, and they still have a heart, they still have a soul, they still have feelings. And it's important to understand that. I still see that at times, that people still will look down or make fun. Yeah, that really bothers me. And because they are a little different. And when I bring my athletes in from BaseABLE and I have them interact, I see a difference. I see my guys, like they say, my coach, they're great. They're funny. They have, it's all of a sudden it's another buddy. And now my athletes from BaseABLE are busting their chops a little bit and having fun with them. And you see this interaction, and all of a sudden one of my high school athletes will say, "Coach, if you do this again, can I go with you?"
Mm.
And then I know that I've hit a home run, because all it takes is one of these young people to learn how to give back. And I try to stress that with all of them, but it's really a win-win situation for the BaseABLE athletes and athletes on the outside. So really, that the book was written, and I give it out to my high school athletes also. And they look at me and say, "Coach, I didn't know you did all these things," because I really don't talk about it. Last year, inducted into the New Hope Soulbury Hall of Fame as a coach, and 12 of my athletes showed up to surprise me at the dinner, which I didn't expect. And I had practice with them the day before, and none of them said a word. And all of a sudden, they had a table, and they're waving to me from the back. So they surprised me, but it was very interesting for them to kind of give back in that way.
Yeah, and I think that when we talk about the give back, right? I love that all the athletes learn from each other and can grow, right? This experience is not just for the base able students, but even the high school students that come and be a part of that. And I do think we have to do so much more around an understanding and empathy and helping our young people to understand different abilities. And again, that doesn't mean that anybody's broken or that we tease them or we laugh. That the idea of saying, hey, even they can play sports with us is awesome. Because, and don't get me wrong, I work with so many families. And, when you're talking baseball and we're talking my youth who maybe was autistic and at 4, couldn't handle fall ball, but here now at 18, being amongst a team of athletes, right? It's almost like giving them a second chance at sports. And I think that's what I really love about this too, is because even for athletes that played in high school, right? Or like you, professional, a lot of times people are playing sports as we age. So it's providing community, it's providing support, but even kind of like that second chance at sports and athletics. Talk to me a little bit, I guess, for the parent that's saying, what's my involvement if my student wouldn't be interested in this? How much are parents involved? Do they not have to be involved? What does that kind of look like from a parent perspective?
From a parent perspective, as one of my athletes, his name is Michael. His parents call it a Michaelcation, because they get a vacation from him, and you can hang out with Coach Tony. So, but they really don't have. They can be involved. I have a few fathers that are coaches, but it's really for the parent to understand that there are programs like this. There are also a lot, especially New Jersey, was actually the first state in the United States to really, I think, put into law about unified sports, which is athletes or students and students with disabilities playing a sport together. And that could be track and field, kickball, basketball, soccer, flag football, bocce ball, any of those sports. So there are a lot more opportunities for families to get their kids involved. I know in Pennsylvania, there's another organization called Athletes Helping Athletes. And that's high school athletes who bring in a few athletes who have some type of disability to their team, and they travel with the team, or they practice with the team, or they sit on the bench with the team. So there are these programs. So for parents, I think the idea of going and watching their child participate in one of these sports is amazing. And I know, like for BaseABLE, we have a 3-week league that we play at the Ranny School in the northern part of New Jersey, and it's double headers, and the parents come out, and you can see they just smile because they tell me they've always wanted to watch their son or their daughter participate in something, and now they're out there with these other athletes, and they're cheering each other on, they're high-fiving, they're having fun, they're competing, and they are competitive, Dr. Stacy. They play for keeps. They will argue with the umpire, and they take it, but they also, after it's over, it's over. But they are serious about competing. But parents, I think in the past, if you had a child that has a disability, may have held back and didn't do as much. There wasn't as much in the community. And I think there is a little bit more out there than people know. And now, I mean, to Google those things and look at programs, not only for baseball, like I said, there are definitely other sports and other activities that these athletes can do. I know cheerleading has started to increase, bowling, so tennis, golf, all those sports. So if someone cannot play baseball for whatever reason, there are other opportunities that they can participate and be a part of a team.
I love that. And being part of a team is so key. All right. So, Tony, as we close out, what would be maybe a tip for families who are raising students with disabilities? What would you say to them? What would be maybe a tip or something that you would have for them as we close?
I would say if I had a child with a disability, that I would encourage them to do as much as they possibly can when it comes to school, when it comes to after school activities, and find out, just like you would do with any other child, what their interests are, what they like to do, and get them involved in it, and not hold back, and support them, and hopefully find a program like BaseABLE or some other programs that are willing to coach and be a part of that person's life, because that's a nice extension for a family to have.
I love that. I work with so many families, and it's so true. They feel isolated. So having, right, this extended family and a supportive system for your youth to be able to go and do sports and be involved, I think that's great. All right. So, Tony, before you go, I have all of my guests do a Laffy Taffy joke of the day because
Yeah.
joyful heart is good medicine. So I'm going to see if you can answer this. No one in my first season has gotten their Laffy Taffy joke. So no worries, no pressure.
So the pressure's on.
Right. All right. So here's the joke. What can you serve but not eat?
A tennis ball.
You got it right. You're the first person in 12 episodes. So ding, 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 ding. You got it right. Tennis ball. I tried to make it sports related. I really did. All right.
That was great. I got lucky on that. I don't have a cheat sheet here either. So
I love it. All right. So tell our audience, how can they get in touch with you if there's parents that are interested in BaseABLE? Maybe it's someone who's interested in donating, even if it's a coach that's interested. How can they reach you? How can they get in touch with you?
in addition to being on social media, I am just on Twitter, or X as it's called now, and Instagram. On both of those, it's at Tony Valhovic on Instagram, and on X, it's at T Vlahovic. And also the BaseABLE.org, and the website is basically, if you want to donate, you want to read about us, you want to read about our events, we have a newsletter that comes out. The other thing is an organization like Special Olympics, and Special Olympics does an excellent job and helps a lot of people, from children through adults. They have some amazing programs. They have the Healthy Athlete program, where talk about nutrition and help them with if they have vision issues. And there's some real community there also.
Great, great. Well, folks, before we go, I'm going to do our Love the Babies Well send off. This is my segment where I talk about the importance of celebrating our children. And so, talking about differences today, in Psalms 139:14, it says, I will praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's always good to hear stories about people who are making a difference and creating opportunities for children, even the way they're designed and built. And so to say to a child, you can't do a sport or you can't do an activity, well, one day that hope will be in the past. We need to continue to encourage and support programs that recognize the strengths in our children and allow them to achieve their dreams, even in sports. As Tony said, it's so much more not just about the physical abilities, but it's also about providing that sense of community, family, and a heart for our families. So thanks everybody so much for tuning in for the Dr. Stacy Show. I really am excited about this season. Until next time, keep the faith, love the babies well, and pursue wellness.